Hello everyone, good afternoon. My name is Aldir. I'm part of the Mews product team, and for the next 45 minutes, I'll guide you through the webinar. So what's our plan for today? Based on your interest about automation, we've come up with this webinar. So today we'd like to share some examples of automation with you, explain the benefits and show you how you can provide a contact-free experience at your properties. We'll be covering a few notable things from process automation tips, how you can add more automation at your property to avoid these day-to-day manual tasks. I'm sure we can all agree that a lot has changed and we're entering in a phase that may become a new normal. It's important to really focus on keeping guests safe and adapting to a contact-free approach. Think of this as your post-pandemic war room, if you will. We've also added a few questions that you asked when you signed up for this webinar, so stay tuned, they'll be answered at the end. Now, I won't be able to hear or see you during this webinar, but you will be able to hear my voice. At the bottom left of the panel, you will see a Q&A section. On the other side of that is our Mews product team who will be available to answer any of your questions. All you have to do is select that and type in any question you have. So in my case, how to stay fit during isolation. So ready, steady, sit back, relax, and enjoy. So you've heard of us speaking a lot about automation at Mews and the sort of contact-free experience. But in these tough times, it seems more relevant than ever. When you run on shortened staff and guests just really want to feel safe. So like our focus now and in the world coming forward should be safety first. So we're looking at all these things coming in the news and the current priorities and current things that we're living with and our guests as well. And the fact is, this is the world we live in now. And the world of hospitality has to adjust to it. And it's our duty to make sure guests not only feel welcome, but also feel safe when they travel and ensure that when you do visit those properties, they still want to come back again because they have that extra reassurance that it is okay to travel and the world might have changed, but they can still visit new places and try new things. So where do we start first? So during this webinar, we'll lead you through the entire guest cycle, all the way from booking to departure. So let's kick off. In the last few weeks, surely most of you have had to adjust your housekeeping standards and cleaning protocols. You might even have had to change your front office approach to make sure guests feel that much more safe and comfortable. But we need to make sure that guests are aware of it. Show your guests that you really care, because in the end, they might not really know it. So let's start off with booking and creating reservations. But why is this important? There's the old age saying that there's only one chance to make a good and safe first impression. At this stage, automation is not about clicking a magical button that just makes things work. Automation is about preventing repetitive tasks and those sort of repetitive questions that you can avoid during a guest stay. If we look at room rates and your descriptions for platforms, for example, you could actually take this opportunity and the time that you currently have before you reopen your doors to highlight your cleaning standards for your guests. So they'll be able to make a decision attributed to that. And of course, as everyone knows, high quality, multiple images always help. Let the guests know that you are safe, and the more information that you can put on your site right now and in your marketing, the better for you. And if we look at the confirmation email, so your confirmation email is a great place to get this started. It's that sort of platform where you can promote your new check-in process, where, for example, it will be mandatory to update the profile or credit card details prior to arrival. So you might have heard about online check-in, and it's one of the oldest features that we had in Mews. This is the perfect time to start to get your guests actually using that, so they can actually start connecting with you prior to actually checking in. You also notice we have this little section with the chat with us button. So we mentioned the guests are really coming to check in, and they really do need that extra reassurance at the moment. So feel free to add this chat with us button to your current check-in email, your confirmation email, as well as any custom ones that you have as well. So your guests can ask you questions at any time. You can also promote your images on your website, as well as extra products and unique services for your property, or maybe even nearby businesses that you cooperate with. It might be your local bakery or your local restaurants, to really enrich your guest experience during their stay and for them to understand that your hotel isn't the only safe place, but so is the area around it. So if we look at pre-arrival, now guests are all done with booking and excited for their trips. Now is the perfect time to start gathering those pesky personal details. Your police reports will have everything you need on them without having to spend that extra time on the side of your staff or for your guests when they actually get to the hotel. And you'll find that if your guests are actually able to fill this in before their arrival, you really start to smooth out that check-in process. So on that note, onto online check-in. Yep, this is a feature you already know, but during this time, it really, really has that added value. We can see a positive trend that even the properties that have not used it before, the feature in the past that like we've been promoting for, again, a long time, at this moment is bringing you that value and your guests that extra comfort that they don't have to worry about spending too much time in your hotel lobbies. And it also means that in a way you will have saved both your time, your guest time, as well as your staff resources. So you won't have large amounts of people congregated in one place and have a busy check-in section. Right. As we've mentioned, it's not a new feature, and we've had it for several years. We've seen properties have a ratio of about 50%, and properties have about ratio of 10% for usage for the online check-in feature. And of course, the audience for this is crucial. However, the way you promote it and the process you build behind this feature is what makes the ultimate difference. And I have a really great quote here from Matt, and he says, having online check-in is one thing, but promoting it is another. Did you know that 55% of guests who have completed online check-ins have done so 2 days before their arrival? Can you imagine the amount of information and your ability to actually contact those guests and the questions you can answer before they even get to the properties if you give them the opportunity to do so? And looking again at online checking, as you know, Mews has automated this process for you. So keep an eye on those guests who've completed it. This is your chance to create an experience for them and start engaging with your guests, really warm them up to the experience that you can offer at your property. We now live in a world where online check-in is the new normal. And it goes without saying that you might have to interact with your guests prior to the arrival and in a completely different way, as it's highlighting a preferred option. And surely you might help get a high number of preferred online check-ins and more people to actually complete those check-ins. So in the future, we may see that 55% number grow incredibly. Next, onto messaging. As we mentioned earlier, we highly recommend adding the chat with us button, as it allows your guests to open a conversation directly with you, either your receptionist or anyone else at your property with access to a Mews account. And we don't have this functionality closed. So if you would like to customize that button or to have that button added to your own emails, you can actually head over to our Mews guide right now, and you can actually design your own unique button that has that same functionality that really drives that impact. And it goes without saying that answering these messages can be done remotely, and it's going to make that extra difference to really show those people that you care. So now we move on to the arrival process. Now, hopefully your doors are open again, and they will be very soon. Many of us have been on both sides of the reception desk and have either said, hey, can I have your passport or credit card? And I'm sure you agree with this, but it still doesn't really qualify for a great customer experience. Applying the steps we've mentioned earlier will cut down a lot of these processes. But what happens for the few guests that have checked in but haven't paid in advance or have completed the essential customer details we outlined earlier? Fear not, we have a solution that will allow you to maintain your guest experience cash-free and at a distance whilst those use cases start rolling in. Terminals. Now, here's something that's been on everyone's lips, and what better time to implement it than now? We are very happy to announce that you can now pre-order terminals and connect them to your Mews kiosk. And what does this mean for you? Well, put simply, your staff no longer need to handle cards or process payments at the reception desks. This isn't about removing that reception desk either, or removing your staff. Rather, now you can keep your staff and their arrivals at a safe distance at different areas within your reception, allow them to use the kiosk during check-in, and keep that welcoming feel in your hotel. And another great news, terminals will be fully integrated with the Mews operator, so the Mews kiosk solution, which means that guests who haven't paid for the receptionist prior to their arrival will now be able to complete the check-in process, make the payment, and cut the keys for the room without your assistance. Your receptionist will be there to answer any extra questions that they may have. So you're really easing that check-in process, and you're really making sure they're comfortable and you're getting people through the reception as fast as possible. As I mentioned earlier, these terminals are available at pre-order. If you're interested in pre-ordering a terminal, you can reach out directly to our customer success team at customersuccess@mews.com. Now I'll leave this email up for a little bit longer for you to copy it off. So that's customersuccess@mews.com. And while you're at it, don't forget to put those sanitizers by your kiosk. They're quick and easy to clean, but make sure you've got all those steps in place to have that extra touch that your guests will really appreciate. Now, onto the stay. We have collected some operational tips, and we think you might find these useful. We'll start with randomizing allocation. So you can randomize the allocation on the timeline rather than having your traditional top up or bottom down approach that we actually typically recommend. Having a randomized allocation approach ensures that you have a best spread of guests across different floors and rooms within those floors to further help you keep those customers apart and give them, again, that extra assurance, and you'll be able to see this on your timeline as well. So how do you set this up? You can easily update your preferences in your stay settings in Mews. Simply head over to your stay settings and select the reservation assignment strategy, and then click random. Hit save, and that's it. Your guests will automatically be assigned to random rooms every time they create a reservation. And now we've got to think about something really important, and that's the susceptible travelers. You can use the customer classifications to have a better visibility of these travelers. Now, these are the travelers that are more likely to be in contact or are more likely to be affected by contacting COVID-19. They're going to be slightly more cautious. And it's really important that you are able to take care of them and that you're able to take care of your staff as well to make sure that they're cautious and they make sure that they feel safe and comfortable. So in this case, you could consider to add your customer classifications to those acceptable people. This will make it much easier to identify those guests directly from your timeline and allocate appropriate spaces to them where needed. So your front office or your housekeeping staff will surely appreciate that visibility and transparency on their side, and so will those susceptible travelers. So you decide, for example, to have senior people or essential workers, you could choose them to fall within this category. So as I mentioned, you can actually assign these classifications and pick those out directly from the timeline. And for the sake of an example, you could allocate the status important, which you could give to those specific guests. This gives you visibility to your housekeeping staff within the application, as well as the staff in your front office on the timeline. So we'd really like to know from you as well, and either in the comments or afterwards, how would you feel about adding a specific field that helps you identify these guests on your timeline? Is this something very important for you? And let us know in the comments and let's get a conversation started about it. Right, now for our first Mews tip. As we store out of service in all of our properties, it may be really useful to place several rooms out of service so it doesn't block your occupancy, but it allows you to keep guests from actually making reservations. And in this case, when you have these out of service reservations, it means that when reservations come from external sources, they won't be allocated to those out of service rooms. And when you create those reservations from Command itself, it won't be allocated to those rooms. You can, however, should you wish to override this, still manually allocate those guests to those rooms from the timeline, or you can assign them to those rooms from the reservations overview. Another way to contact is to make use of the reservation availability view in the Mews housekeeping app, or otherwise known as the Mews Commander app, which is our downloadable iOS and Android application focused for housekeepers, where you can actually have a live information where there's going to be guests checking in, currently within each room, so your stayovers, as well as guests that are going to be departing for that day. This is going to give your housekeeping team that little heads up and that boost to know when they can actually start to go to those rooms and when those states are changed. Adversely, your front office staff will be able to see this immediately within the Mews Commander web application. And again, embracing messaging. So messaging plays such an essential role with communication. We've spoken about messaging before the guests arrive. And now we can talk about what we can do with messaging when guests are actually at the hotel. So it's still valid during the guest stay. And now you have the opportunity to promote a contact-free room service experience. So your guests can actually order whatever they like from the Mews Navigator application, as well as request special cleaning preferences. This can be directly from the navigator to your receptionist, as well as to your housekeeping staff with the Mews housekeeping application. Or if they would like to, just request general concierge questions. Your choice, the possibilities are endless. Now, for that final stage, departures. Now, online checkout As you've heard a few weeks ago, we have released a really great feature called online checkout. This feature puts your guests in the front seat of their experience as they can now choose if they would like to stop by the reception or simply pay the bill online and drop the key off and head out. You will now have visibility on those guests who have departed online, similar to the way you are able to see your online check-ins with that little green button. And we'll go into the details about this a little bit later, walk you through the sort of flows and what to expect for this process once it's been fully in use. So we're nearing the end of this webinar, and I'd really like to remind you to head over to our Mews feedback portal. Please, if you have any great ideas on the processes that you would like to use or the process that you are using, add them to the Mews feedback portal. We'd love to hear from you. And remember, share these suggestions and ideas with the whole Mews community. Give them the opportunity to upvote and start a conversation on these. We have a really great functionality here that allows you to comment and have conversations within each feature. Would really like to start seeing some really innovative ideas come from the industry, because everybody's working really hard to push the industry forward and to make that bounce back after the COVID-19 crisis. And that's it. So I've prepared a quick summary for topics that we focused on, which is reviewing your guest communication, make online check-ins and check-outs your new standard, use modern digital communication channels, provide a safe environment for your guests to stay, and in the end, this is what they expect. Right, over to the moment I'm sure many of you have been waiting for. It's the question and answer time. So we've picked out a few of the recurring questions for the signs up for the webinars. We've grouped some of these together, and I'll run through some of the responses from our product team for you now. So our next question, how can we improve operations when we reopen? When most properties open, it'll be likely that you will have lower staffing levels until your guest numbers pick up again, and a few people will start increasing their staffing levels again from there to sort of normal numbers. So now it's time to automate those small day-to-day tasks and focus on using your tech stack to deliver value so that your staff can actually focus on their day-to-day operations without being overwhelmed with perhaps the volume that they're experiencing. You can do this by, for example, integrating your door lock system. So you can simply check guests in and out and cut keys immediately at the moment that you check those guests in, whether it's from your kiosk or directly through the PMS. Got a guest waiting to check in early, but not sure if the room's ready? Use your integrated applications. We have several housekeeping applications as well as the Mews housekeeping application. From these applications, you're actually able to update room statuses directly from the apps. So your receptionist can quickly find which rooms are clean and get those guests checked in and sitting in their room nice and comfortable as fast as possible. Integrate your accounting systems. Make sure your revenue is being recorded from your point of sale and from your PMS in a single location at the end of the day, every day. No more manual checking. Everything is sent to one locations, and this will take a real weight off your staff's shoulders. Keep your information in a centralized place. From booking to checkout, make use of features, for example, the inquire functionality. Start getting an idea on the potential business that you could be having, as well as who's trying to book at your property. Use the reports that you have to your advantage. Now's a really great and frankly, a really important time to start becoming data enabled. Look at your forecasts, understand your guest behavior, and plan your staffing strategically. Start using functionalities in Mews, for example, that have to-do lists. We can talk about tasks. You can create tasks for your staff to help them keep focused on what's important. And the best thing about these is that if tasks aren't complete during the shift or at the end of the day, instead of having those long, busy handovers and those rooms packed with your staff before that shift changes, you can easily write down any extra notes in those tasks and assign them to specific staff members within the property to really have that smooth transition of information. And it's always going to be stored right in Mews for you from the time of creation to completion. And again, I'll reiterate, and communication. Mews has an entire ecosystem of products that speak with each other and can really help you from kiosks at check-in to housekeeping during the stay and messaging before and after your guests leave. Okay, on to one of our very exciting parts of this presentation. How exactly do online check-in and check-out work? So I'll walk you through a workflow from our team just to give you a better understanding of what online check-in is from the beginning of the guest journey and how it will affect the guest journey once it gets to the end. So if we look at this example, a property simply starts using online check-in by including online check-in to their email, for example, to your reservation or confirmation email. So 2 days before arrival, Mews is automatically sending the online check-in invitation email, unless you've disabled it. Once the guests have arrived, they're able to view the details of the reservation for the specified date, room, and the number of people traveling. If the guest is part of the reservation, or if the guest is part of the reservation, he or she is required to accept property's terms and conditions, and he's also asked to register for a card online. In the registration card, we are requiring only for those legally required fields and personalized details in order to keep as high conversion as possible for your guests going through. Guests can also invite their fellow travelers via email, so they can fill in the form as well. For the future, we'd like to allow the main guest to fill in the registration card of their fellow travelers as well. And the reason behind this is because we'd like everybody in the group to have their own email. For now, guests can skip the step when they're asking for companions or for their companions' email by simply clicking the submit button without adding any extra companion emails. And the next step, we'll display the encoded details of the payment card, which the guest provide when the booking is made. If no card is provided, or if the guest has a virtual card issued, we ask the guest to provide the payment card. After this is done, check-in is finished. Once guests arrive at the property, they don't need to fill in a registration card anymore. All they need to do is collect one key card, which they can do either from the operator kiosk or from a stack of key cards that you can leave at your reception desk or have with your receptionist just to make sure they have that extra welcome and they know where they need to go. So on to our new and exciting phase, online checkout. So again, we've outlined what the guest journey is going to look like for this. So this new feature needs to be enabled manually by the property first. So it's your choice if you'd like to have the online checkout feature active. And in this case, guests are invited to the online checkout via email. The online checkout email is actually customizable. So you can now, for instance, remove the button, which leads from Navigator. The whole checkout happens within the Navigator application. The guest is able to see the reservation, which is available for the checkout, and the journey that they take depends on the status of their bill from there. For example, if all bills on the guest's account are closed, the guest is immediately taken to the screen where they are able to select the time of departure and confirm the checkout. If the guest bill is unbalanced but not closed, they're able to review and close a bill and eventually inserting the bill details. So in this case, the bill is automatically being sent to the guest email address, so no more paper. If the bill is not paid yet, the guest is then requested to pay directly from the Navigator application. If you, for example, have a minibar and your guest asks, if you want to ask your guests if they've consumed anything, and if they have, currently they'll have to go all the way down to reception, or if they're smart, send you a message. But we're working on functionality to allow them to add items on the bill as we speak. So imagine your guests being able to actually pick those items from the minibar, head over to the Navigator application, charge it to their account and pay for it instantly without you having to worry about double checking your inventory in the minibar or requesting any other payment items when they're at the reception. So online checkout can run in two modes. The first is manual and the second is automatic. We strongly recommend that you switch on the automatic mode. This is because it automatically checks out the reservation by the departure time the guest selects. When this is set up, housekeeping will actually be able to know when the room is empty. With the manual mode, you have to check the online checked out reservations on your own, which means they will check out online. So they'll select online checkout from the application. You will then be made aware of this within the Commander application, and you can confirm the button at the reception. We implemented this option for properties who would prefer to have a little more control over that guest journey and their stay in house. So if you'd still like them to come to the reception desk and give them a chance to talk about their stay, this allows you to do that. And it also means that you still don't have to worry about those bill items, but you have a chance to double check that those bill items have been covered before the guest leaves. Online checkout is currently available in all countries, with the exception of France, Italy, Spain, and Portugal. We are not yet able to close those bills automatically, but we promise you we're actively working on it, and the feature will be coming sometime in the future. Online check-in and checkout are not only what you can call queue busters, but they also help to automate your processes. They reduce your repetitive tasks for your reception guests. Online checkout has housekeeping to organize their shifts and effectively might result in more room availability and faster turnover for early check-ins. All right, where can I get more information about automation? If you'd like more information about automation, please do contact your account manager or customer care team directly from the Mews application. Let us know via Facebook or LinkedIn. Join the Mews community where we can start discussing the specific topics with other hoteliers as well as the Mews team. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for joining our webinar today. Stay safe, and we hope to see you again soon.